Imagine you had exactly $60 to spend and making the most complete everyday carry that you possibly could. Well, this is my take on the problem. So let's go ahead and get right to it. Now, before we get started, let me first address a big problem with these types of videos. When we talk about total budget, a lot of times what happens is, and I'm guilty of this as well, we make a video and one item takes up the majority of that budget. For instance, these are $30, so half of our budget is currently gone. So if you don't like the item that is the most premium, the most expensive in that particular video, you're not going to get all that much out of it. And it's why in the future, starting Friday of next week, I will be making videos where the item budget are a given number. In that video, we will address and have everything be $20 or less, and it makes for a much more enjoyable experience. Trust me, both from my side of it, and I think you're going to enjoy it more as well. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and talk about Victorinox. If I had $60 to spend and I'm trying to achieve the highest quality, longest lasting, best that I can, I'm going to start with Victorinox. They still are some of the best value implements that you can buy, full stop, and almost nothing lasts as long. I've been able to get, in fact, I think the Super Tinker on this table is over 40 years old. No, that's not an exaggeration. 40 years old is a testament to just how high quality these actually are. And the nice thing is that they have stayed relatively budget friendly. So let's start with the first one on the table. Now this is the camper, and you can get it under $30 right now on Amazon. It has a scissor as its middle tool, and the rest are pretty standardized. You have the large blade, you have the small blade, and you have the can opener, small flathead. Also, by the way, is a two-dimensional Phillips. This actually works with a number 2 Phillips, believe it or not. And then you have the large flathead, which also is good for prying if necessary. Now on the back here, you have the corkscrew. And frankly, I'm not a huge fan of the corkscrew. It doesn't come with the additional tool that goes in it. So really, unless you're a huge wino, I would say skip that model entirely. Now these two, I think, are a little bit more compelling. First is the hiker. And the big thing that's different here is that it actually has a saw instead of the scissor. And for some people, they'll enjoy that more. And then of course it has a Phillips on the back instead of the corkscrew. This is a big improvement in my opinion. It is a Phillips that is very, very strong. And although it's not going to be very fast to undo something, it will get the job done, which really is what matters anyway. And then the rest of the tool set is basically the same. But if I was going to pick just one of these, there is no contest. It's going to be the Super Tinker, which currently is sitting at $28 on Amazon. I think this is a bit of an outlier. When I compare this pricing to this exact tool elsewhere, it's at least $10 more. So I don't know if they just haven't increased the price yet or what, which they have been doing, but you might want to get in on this deal before it expires, because I have a feeling next year I won't be able to include this in this type of video at this budget, because it'll probably be $35 versus the $28 it's currently sitting at. So this combines a scissor with all of the other tools we talked about, and then of course the full number 2 Phillips. And I think this is definitely bang for your buck. $30, one of the best things you can possibly buy, full stop. Lifetime warranty, and if that you do anything with it that's, well, outside that warranty, you can pay for the repairs. I have, like I said, this model is, this exact one is actually almost 40 years old. And you can see it's beaten up, but still functions perfectly. I mean, it needs to be kind of cleaned a little bit, but overall works great. And I regularly buy these on eBay for a whole lot less than their original price, because they're not that much worse than the brand new ones. And we haven't really talked about that, but it's almost always better, with Victorinox at least, to buy a good quality used one than a brand new one. You'll just get a better value. Now, to pair with the Super Tinker, there's a couple options. I kind of wanted to still keep the plier, but I didn't want to go full on get a multi-tool that might be mediocre in quality control. So enter this thing. This is the Crescent RT24, and it comes in under $10. You can buy these at Home Depot. And people have mixed reviews of these. I was very impressed. I thought it did a lot more, and it was a lot more substantial than I expected for something so small and so light. There are better quality implements. In fact, this is the one I'm carrying today, made by Snap-on. I don't think most people know, but they make a 4-inch slip joint plier with cutters, and oh my god, so good. But before I wanted to spend basically almost the entire budget on something like this, I think I really wanted to know if I would actually carry a small independent plier, and I really did enjoy it, genuinely. Like, I enjoyed this combination. So I looked and ended up getting a lot of other options like this one. This is the 100 Cobra from Knipex. And also I really enjoy the Irwin 4-inch vice grip. Yeah, this is actually 4 inches, very, very tiny, very, very light, and very, very capable. But for this budget, this is a great start. If you don't like carrying this, then don't bother investing in the more expensive variants. Make sense? But maybe this isn't your deal. Well, there's two tools that I absolutely recommend. The Ozark Trail Multiforce and its equivalency, if you're buying somewhere else in the world, the Swiss Tech. These are basically identical. There's a couple of variants, I should say. The one you can buy at Walmart has a bit extender. Both of them are going to need a magnet to use standard hex bits, but they already work perfectly with the Klein style ball detent bits. So if you just want to, man, this one's really giving me a hard time. Okay, there we go. If you want to just use it as is, you can actually buy a Klein driver and actually use those bits as well. So something you can kind of take into consideration. This is by far my favorite. I wouldn't call it clone because they actually have improved on the Wave design, but both of these have pocket clips. Both of these have sheaths if you want a sheath carry. This one has a clip, which is actually a nice little addition. This one could be horizontally carried and has the Velcro. I like both, and for around the $40 price point, which is approximately equal to these two together, it gives you a secondary option that you might want to consider. But for this video, we're going to stick with the plier and Victorinox combo. Okay, I guess we'll talk about pens since I just splashed those. I don't think you need to budget a pen. It's one of those items that if I'm this constrained, I would just find something and just use whatever I had. Same thing goes with the notebook. I would rather take a piece of paper out of a printer, fold it up 4 times, and use that. I always have pen and paper on me at all times, but it's not as necessary to spend a lot of money on this category. But since we have a couple of dollars in this budget, there is one pen that I use, and I genuinely use quite often, and that's this Bic 4-in-1. You can buy a pack of 12, I think it's 12 of these, for really inexpensive. They end up working out to be less than $2 a piece, and I just love that it comes in black. Most people don't know that this exists. They think it only comes in that terrible like white and powder blue. No, you can get an all black variant, and I just adore them. I also have this pen here, which is a Uniball. I believe it's a Uniball. Yeah. And why I want to point this out is that this ink cartridge, which is kind of like a felt tube, can be cut to any length. So if you actually remove part of this plastic and shorten it, you can basically keep the functionality of the pen while having a much more compact one. So you can vary the actual dimension, the length of this pen, and still have something for EDC with a cap. So these also are about the same, just under $2 a piece. The writing of them is phenomenal, and these are definitely the two I would recommend. But for this video, we're going to stick with the Bic 4-in-1. I genuinely use these all the time. They are everywhere in the house. They're on my desk. They're in my pocket regularly. I actually use them in my sheath quite often because they go into the slot perfectly from a depth perspective. with just enough sticking out and just enough sticking down at the bottom, yeah, they're phenomenal. Now, there's a couple of things we're not going to talk about on this video, such as wallets and keys. Why? Well, the best solution if you have a budget is to not replace those items. Just deal with them as they are. There are creative ways in which you can make them more enjoyable to use using very, very inexpensive components, whether it's elastic bands, tubing. Yeah, you can literally go to your local bike repair shop, ask for some tubing, and you would be amazed at the kind of things you can make, such as a very simple wallet. You can make key organizers, and they will give you those tubes for free. So as far as that's concerned, we can actually do a whole video on like $0 wallets and key organizers, but it's not going to be for this video. We don't have the time. And the reason we have a $60 budget instead of a $50 budget in 2023 is I could not come up with enough variety of flashlight choices that I was satisfied with. And that is the single reason why we are expanding on the price slightly. If you have $20, you can get what I rated the #1 AA flashlight, pretty much purchasable. You go to Sofrin.com, you can get this for under 20 bucks. Phenomenal. Endural 2.0, which means it's fully customizable, high CRI, 1000 lumen output, blah, blah, blah. So much that goes into it. You can also get the Convoy T3, which is another programmable flashlight with whatever emitter you want and a pocket clip and all of that. So great choice if you're having to shop on AliExpress and you don't have access to Amazon where you live. You go to Workhost's website, you can get this, the TS10, which is a 14500 only, but it comes in high CRI. It has triple emitters, auxiliary LEDs, fully customizable user interface, tail switch. I mean, come on. The $20 price point is when things really open up for flashlights. And if that's not big enough for you, you can get this. This is the Workhos WK03. And because Sofrin is also the OEM for this, they have their equivalency on their website. Usually between those two brands, you can find something under $20, and when it feels like a complete steal. I got this on Amazon actually with the 18650 for under $20. So this is about $22 right now on Amazon if you don't want to go to their website. But I highly recommend, if you're budget oriented, that you consider going directly to these guys. Those are my top choices by far if you're going to pick something for this. But for the purposes of the final shot, we'll go ahead and get rid of all the others except the SP10 Pro. So for $60, this is probably what I would start with. This is it. And it really does work very, very well. Now you can replace this with this or this, and it's kind of the same idea. I think you can't really go wrong with any of these options. It's a very, very strict budget, total budget, but this is definitely something that is fun to do as a theory craft, and I hope you enjoy. Let me know down in the comments, do you agree with me that it would be better to do individual item budgets or a total budget? Anyway, that's it for today. I really do appreciate your time as always, and we'll talk again soon.